Hey there, fellow explorers. After 2.5 years, Japan has finally opened up to individual tourism. And so in this video, I'm going to share with you 20 reasons why you should visit Japan right now. And the first reason you should visit Japan right now, by the way, my favorite country to visit of the countries that are out there, is that the flights and hotel prices are cheap. They are at like all-time lows because nobody's been able to go, and so hotels still have really low prices because the occupancy is still really low. Now, I'll say, sure, it depends when you're looking to book your flight. I mean, if you're going in October or November, flight prices still cheap. Over the Christmas holiday and New Year's, prices definitely go up because I think people have been speculatively booking their travel for those holidays. And if you're looking for like one of the cheapest ways to get to Japan, Japan has a new budget airline called Zip Air that you might want to consider. It's a subsidiary of Japan Airlines, and I've seen airfares, $600 or less round trip. And if you've got kids under like 5 or 6 years old, their prices are only 10% of the regular ticket price. So super good deal if you got kids to fly. Zip Air, the new budget airline. And then, hotels. People often think Japan is a really expensive country. And let me tell you right now, it's not, because the second reason you should go right now, the yen is at an all-time low. The yen is currently trading at 143 yen to $1. I typically peg the yen at about 100 yen to a US dollar, and so your money is likely going to take you about 50% farther, making things maybe 25% cheaper if I'm doing my public math on this, which, hey, that's a pretty good deal too. Or if you don't want to go right now, you could like stock up on some yen for your next trip, hoping that it doesn't go even lower and you picked a good time to invest in it. The third reason you should go to Japan right now is it won't be all that busy yet. It takes time for people to plan their trips. People plan them years out, and so there haven't been that many people that are like, I'm gonna go in October, November, December. People are like planning for next spring or next summer when the kids are out of school. So if you've got some flexibility to go early, I think you'll be able to have a relatively tourist unbusy Japan. I'm not going to say all to yourself, but let's go ahead and say tourist unbusy. I don't think you're going to see big group tours in Japan yet, and certainly you're not going to see the big cruises going there. They're planning to go there, but you're not going to see them right now. And Kathy in the live chat says that she's going to Japan in February of 2024, which, hey, that sounds awesome. That's great. Japan was able to open up again so we can actually plan our trips to go. The fourth reason you should go to Japan right now is that fall, this season that I'm doing this live stream on, is a great time to visit. It's the changing of the leaves. It's autumn. The weather is not too hot. The weather is not too cold. The days aren't too short. And so I really like the fall season in Japan. Now, if you're watching this as an archive or you're planning a trip a little later, like in December, January, February, winter is not a bad time to go to Japan, particularly if you like to ski or snowboard. I mean, if you like to ski or snowboard, that's the time you want to go because there's snow. And in particular, the snow in Japan is very unique. They often call it powder snow in places like Hokkaido, the northern island, or Nagano outside of Tokyo where the Winter Olympics was. You can pick up the snow and like blow it as if it was like a bubble bath or something like that. It's just super light and super fluffy, and so if you're there, particularly on a good powder day, and you fall down into the snow, it doesn't hurt that much because the snow is actually pretty soft. If you're looking to book your trip a little further out into the spring, March, April, May, something like that, March and April, cherry blossoms. There is no more classic time to go to Japan than March or April because that's when the sakura trees bloom, Japanese term for cherry blossoms. They have their hanami, their picnics under the cherry blossom trees. A whole bunch of festivals come up, and the whole country really just comes alive when cherry blossoms come. Oh, and if you're a photographer, you're definitely going to have envy. You're going to have camera envy when it comes to going to the cherry blossoms because, you know, all the Japanese photographers have spent like thousands of dollars on their extra long lenses, and then here you come, if you're like me, taking your pictures with your cheap smartphone. Kathy says, what time do the cherry blossoms start? So they go from south to north, the warmest parts of Japan to the coldest parts of Japan. In Okinawa, like the warmest part of Japan, like February, and then up to Hokkaido, like maybe late April. And obviously it depends every year based on whether it's warmer or colder, but like a great time to go if you're kind of like in central Japan, you know, late March, early April are some of those quintessential times to hope to see it. And if you are trying to do that, a great way to do it is to like traverse Japan from north to south, because then you'll hopefully catch it like one of those ways. Yeah, and Sam says the sea salt, the reason why it's so powdery is the sea salt sucks the moisture out of the air and the snow. Thank you for sharing that factoid. And Murad's joined the live stream. Thanks, good to see you too. All right, the fifth reason to go to Japan right now is there's a bunch of new stuff for the Olympics. You know, Japan was planning this grand tourist spectacle for the 2020 Tokyo Olympics that like never happened. I shouldn't say it never happened. It happened later, but no tourists were allowed to come, just the athletes. And so there's tons, particularly around Tokyo, there's tons of new tourism infrastructure, new buildings, new attractions that were all timed to unveil at that Olympics. And so if you go right now, you'll be one of the first tourists to go see those things. We were in Japan in February of 2020, just before the world shut down. And it was really neat to see a lot of these new attractions that were there or being built, kind of like neat observation towers in Shibuya. We were looking at these new like walkways that were being built out there and going like, oh, we need to go back. And then you say, Chris, so what about you? When are you going back? We're planning for cherry blossom time, knock on wood, to take our trip then. Scottman 895 Travel says, good evening, Chris. I hope you're having a great Tuesday so far. I am, Scottman 895 Travel. Thank you very much. Yeah, and I guess I'm hearing a lot of people saying they're doing cruises. Kathy's doing a cruise. Trent is saying we're doing a cruise. U.S., Hawaii, Seoul, Taipei, Osaka, Tokyo, U.S. Japan's the last stop. Awesome. Enjoy it. And definitely check out, if you're going to Osaka, Universal Studios Osaka there has a really neat Super Nintendo land, which will definitely be on our list of places that we're going to go see and we're going to check out. Now, I mentioned good times to visit Japan, which would be now, winter, or April, spring. You notice I didn't mention summer. And look, if summer is the only time you can go, then go. But summer in Japan is oppressively humid and sticky and wet. And so just be aware, in summer you won't be able to do that many long outdoor activities because the heat and humidity is just going to either sap the life out of you or just drench you with wetness. By the way, what am I drinking today? Today I am drinking a passion fruit green tea from TPT, Taiwan Professionals in Tea, a new tea shop that opened up here in Irvine. Painkiller 93 says if you can't make it all the way out to Osaka, there's going to be a Super Nintendo Land in Los Angeles as well. All right, I am looking forward to that. R-Disc asks if there's a Park Hyatt in Japan. R-Disc! There's some people on right now that are like, R-Disc, have you not seen the movie Lost in Translation? Because it's a classic traveler movie, and it was set in the Park Hyatt Tokyo. The Park Hyatt Tokyo is probably the most legendary of the Park Hyatts. There's also a newly opened Park Hyatt Kyoto. So indeed, there are a couple that you can check out. And Points Traveler says, I hope you're going to cover the new entry requirements. They're super confusing on the government websites. My understanding of the new entry requirements is you basically need to be vaccinated. You need to be fully vaccinated, and that's it. Now, when you get to Japan currently, you do need to be you need to wear masks indoors, and so that you might say like, well, I don't know, I'm kind of tired of the whole mask thing. You know, in Japan, they love their masks. And so it's going to be like a while before Japan gets rid of their indoor mask mandate. So if you're on the fence about that, you know, you might want to keep watching to be like, okay, well, Japan's open for tourism, but when are they going to take off their mask mandate? All right. And Shenshan says, I heard Tokyo Disney Sea is a lot cheaper ticket compared to other locations, and the tickets are cheaper for sure, and they have afternoon tickets too, and we're going to talk about Tokyo Disney Sea Disneyland in another one of these numbers. All right, we're on number 6, the 6th reason to go to Japan, and actually now I'm just in the reasons why it's good to go to Japan like at any time, is the food. The food in Japan, it's really good, and it's more than just sushi. There's a lot of people who think, I don't know about going to Japan. I don't know if there's going to be anything to eat because I hear all they eat over there is rice and raw fish. And let me tell you, there's so much more to be had in Japan. Some of my favorite things to eat in Japan, gyoza, which are Japanese pot stickers, noodles. The classic Japanese noodles are ramen, soba, and udon. You basically got like an egg noodle, a buckwheat noodle, and a flour noodle, typically served in soup, but you can get them stir fry as well. So if you see soba, it's likely soup, but if you see yaki or yaki udon, then those are ones that are stir fried, kind of like a chow mein. Japanese curry, no, not Indian curry, but there's a whole style of Japanese curry and rice that's typically often served with katsu, which is like a fried breaded pork cutlet, super delicious. Takoyaki, which are best described as octopus balls, or translated to that. They're not, this is a family-friendly channel. They're like round balls that have dough on the outside and pieces of octopus inside. And then you can't go wrong with yakitori, meat on a stick. And if you recently watched my Japanese Food Expo video from LA last weekend, you saw the traveling princess, spunky princess now, eating her Japanese A5 Wagyu beef yakitori, some super expensive meat on a stick, because that's the best and easiest way to serve it. Paint Killer says, I enjoyed the noodles and the yakisoba. For sure, you can't go wrong. Sahil says, I have a daily sushi allowance while traveling in Japan. I'm curious, Sahil, how much do you allocate for your daily sushi allowance? Cat Yellow Ranger says, I love to visit Akihabara and their fashion districts. I think those are two great reasons to visit Japan at any time. Akihabara in Tokyo is often subtitled Electric Town. It's where you'd go to buy a lot of electronics, but it's also become kind of like pop culture central in not just Tokyo, but really all of Japan. If you've heard of the whole maid cafe craze, where the girls working in these cafes dress up as French maids and sing songs and serve cutesy food, Akihabara is kind of the center of these maid cafes. Kathy says, yum, I will have to try the curry. You should. It's pretty tasty, and you'll see it just about everywhere. Yeah, and Trent had done some math for us and said, with the Japanese yen, Tokyo Disney Sea is like $65 US, which is like less than half the price of actual Disneyland. And Sahil says his sushi allowance is $30. I was thinking for a moment Sahil was giving us the Tokyo Disney Sea conversion rate into Australian dollars, but that's how much Sahil spends on sushi every day. All right. The 7th reason to visit Japan is for the trains. The public transportation in Japan is incomparable to any other country. Japan has the best public transportation anywhere in the world. I don't know if I can say known universe because I haven't been to all of the planets yet, but their trains are fantastic. From normal subways that a lot of places have, to little tiny electric trains, to trains that have tracks on top instead of on the bottom, to the bullet trains. A big part of the experience in Japan is actually just the transport and getting around. They've made it easy, they've made it enjoyable, and it's fairly inexpensive. I use the word fairly inexpensive because the bullet train, the Shinkansen, can actually be pretty expensive if you're buying the tickets outright. But as a tourist, you can get the Japan Railways Pass, the JR Pass, for like unlimited train riding for a certain number of days or weeks. And that turns out to be a really good deal if you're spending a lot of time moving around the country. If you're just going from Tokyo to Osaka or Kyoto one way, don't get the JR pass, it won't be worth it. But if you're going Tokyo, Osaka, round trip back to Tokyo, then the JR Pass is worth it. The only country that I would say comes even close to Japan on trains is Switzerland. Switzerland has an amazing public transportation infrastructure, but they don't quite have the bullet trains that Japan does. Kathy says, my husband loves trains, so he will love the Shinkansen. I think he will. Sonia says, what about the best beer or drinks? Japan has a lot of beer. They like their beer for sure. I mean, honestly, I like the standard Japanese brands. I like Asahi. I like Sapporo. They're definitely better on tap or draft than they are from the can, but you will find them everywhere and pretty inexpensive, and also in like small sizes. You know, one of my issues, like, say if I go to Germany, you know, and I get a beer, like I can only get a beer in Germany that's like twice the size of this cup. And I just have a hard time drinking that much beer in one sitting, where in Japan you can get like little glasses of beer for like 300 yen to go with your meal, which I think is pretty nice. Dining with Derek points out that he took a 2-week trip and the JR Pass saved so much money. I think if you get the JR Pass, something really worthwhile thinking about, and I actually did that with my mom. We went to Japan on one trip, is we stayed near Tokyo Station. Tokyo Station is the center of the Shinkansen network. We stayed at the Courtyard Tokyo Station, 3 blocks from Tokyo Station. And like every day we were on the Shinkansen to go somewhere else. And because it goes so far, but it goes so fast, you can get to places, like you can go to Nagoya from Tokyo in like an hour and a half or 2 hours. I mean, you can make day trips to places that in any other country would be like, there's no way I can get from here to there. And if you were to buy those tickets outright, they're like $200 each, but you get the JR Pass. It's unlimited riding every day. So definitely think about how you can take advantage of it, but it helps to be next to a bullet train hub to do that. Painkiller says, being from LA, I wish we had 1/5 of the systems they have. We're finally getting Los Angeles International Airport connected to rail in 2024. I'm looking forward to that people mover there. Yeah, but you know, you get to the airport's in Japan, and then you just take the train to go into the city. You don't have to take a taxi. You don't have to hail an Uber. It's just so convenient and easy. And no filter. It's going to Switzerland, 3 weeks and training everywhere. Awesome, awesome. I think you'll enjoy it there. Switzerland also has similar rail passes. All right, the 8th reason to visit Japan at any time are the Japanese hotels. Japanese hotels, frankly, are fantastic. And they range for like any budget. You have all heard of the capsule hotels, these little things that are just like no bigger than a coffin for you to just kind of sleep and spend the night in, to amazing luxury park Hyatts. What we really like to stay in, at least one of the nights on any trip, are some traditional Japanese style hotels. A traditional Japanese style hotel, instead of having like raised beds with mattresses, they have tatami mats for the floor, which is like a bamboo flooring, and then they have futon mattresses that they put out. But the whole experience of going to a Japanese inn, from the service to the dinner to the meals to the breakfast, it's just something for you to experience at least once if you've never done it before. But then even the hotels in the city center can actually be really inexpensively priced compared to other big cities. So in the center of Tokyo, you can get really good hotel rooms, high floors, views, lots of space for half the price that you'd get comparable rooms in New York City, Paris, or any other like big touristy cities around the world. The hotels are going to be cleaner, better, nicer in Japan than they are in Europe or the US. Comment here, what I love about Japan is taking trains and buses to go skiing in the winter. You don't have to drive most places. It's totally true. In so many other parts of the world, in order to go ski or snowboard, you got to get in a car and go to the mountains because they're not connected to transport. But Japan has like connected their infrastructure to public transit, and so that's how you get to the snowy places. And it's so great to be able to go to a ski resort or snow resort and not have to worry about driving and slipping and sliding and chains on your tires. I agree right there. And then Sahil says, yeah, right now with the yen depreciation, business hotels are dirt cheap, right? And so if you're taking a trip to Japan, there's this whole set of hotels that are called business hotels that likely aren't what you think of when you think of a business hotel. You know, if you might be thinking like Marriott, Hyatt, Hilton, or like business hotels. Japanese business hotels are hotels that are really designed for business people in Japan. Let's go ahead and say businessmen, because they're designed for Japanese businessmen who are like going into the city centers and they're basically just spending one night because they're there for a meeting. They're not designed to like hang out in all day. They're small enough, they're functional enough for you to sleep in, get a good shower, and they can be pretty expensive. They're clean. Toyoko Inn is a great example of a Japanese business chain. Also another experience, if you've never stayed in one, to spend at least a night someplace in a Japanese business hotel. Sam asks if you can snowboard solo and get around in Japan. Of course you can, Sam. I mean, maybe you can't like snowboard to like get around Japan, but you can easily get around Japan solo while you are snowboarding. Lewis is arguing my German beer point, saying you can get smaller ones, but even like a half liter isn't as small as you can get them in Japan. Thank you. And yes, I typically do get Radlers, just so that it's slightly less beer when I'm in Germany. Ooh, Jesus says, my wife and I want to travel to Japan, but we have tattoos. How limited are we in doing things because we might not be welcome due to our tattoos? Jesus, I don't think you should worry about it that much. The one place that they're like, ooh, tattoos, is at Japanese public baths, where they ban tattoos or people with tattoos just because of the connection in Japan to the Yakuza or their criminal elements. Jesus, I know you're not part of the Yakuza. It's not just you that have tattoos. A lot of Americans have tattoos. A lot of Australians have tattoos. I do hear that from people who said they went to an onsen hotel, they wanted to go in the public bath, and they weren't allowed. And so what I would say is, if you want to experience the Japanese hot springs, then find a hotel where you can book a private one or you have one in your room, because that's sort of the one thing you'll be barred from doing. I don't think people in general are going to look at you and be like, ooh, I don't want to eat with that person because they got some ink on their skin. And Sahil asks if Nagoya's good. I got a video on Nagoya, or at least to see the Nagoya Castle, so you can check it out. I mean, when we went, I thought it was worth a day trip from Tokyo with the JR Pass for sure. And we have not explored that region all that much. We want to go back and explore more of central Japan. The 9th reason to visit Japan, and I've already been talking about it, are the Japanese hot springs, or the onsen, O-N-S-E-N, is how you'll hear Japanese hot springs referred to. And there are tons of natural hot springs in Japan, and they've built amazing public baths and resorts around these natural hot springs. Now, most of these natural hot spring baths in Japan are gender separate, so separate areas for men, separate areas for women, and you have to disrobe, not wear any clothes to go into the water. You may have been to hot springs like in Palm Springs here in California, where they're basically swimming pools that they say have some fancy water in them. It's a very different experience in Japan, where it's really hot. It can be different temperatures, but they try to make it in a lot of the hotels or resorts or public baths like a natural environment, even like with like fake rocks or sometimes real rocks, where you like overlook water and waterfalls in the nicer ones. It does take a little bit of I don't know if I'm going to say like learning curve, or there's some cultural thing to get over to do that if you've never done it. But I would encourage you also, if you're going to Japan for the first time or the second time or third time and you've never stayed in a Japanese hot spring hotel, definitely go check those out. But I would recommend looking for some that have outdoor hot springs, because we really like those a lot better than the indoor ones. Phil asks if we've been to Hokkaido yet. Yeah, we sure have. We did a trip to kind of like a circle trip around Hokkaido, where we went to Sapporo, because that's where the major airport is, and then we rented a car and kind of like toured around the north, visited some of the snow resorts, ski resorts, some of the sunflowers, because there's a town that's all based on sunflowers. I really enjoyed Hokkaido. I want to go back for the snow festival that they have every year, which I think would be cool. And something that's really neat about Sapporo as a city, which is the capital of Hokkaido, which is the northern island of Japan, so it's the coldest place, is in the center of the city, there is this whole underground shopping complex, like one level underground the main streets. And these underground shopping streets underneath the main level run for miles. And so you'll be in Sapporo walking on the streets and be like, I know this is a big Japanese city, but I don't know where everybody is. And then you go underground and you're like, this is where everybody is. I mean, it's kind of like a little bit of a, I don't know, Blade Runner or those sorts of things about the whole underground city. But it's neat because it snows so much. The weather's bad. They've really built all these tunnels to be able to just walk around and get around the city. And Sahil agrees with me on the hot springs to say that onsens are 100% the most relaxing activity in the world. Cannot be stressed out after 1 hour in an onsen. Yeah, indeed, for sure. Living the vacation life says, do I have any tips on sweet spot award redemptions for flying business to Japan from the West Coast? And I guess this becomes like a just where is availability. But I think one of the routes that often has the most availability for business class to Japan from the West Coast is out of San Diego. Japan Airlines operates flights out of San Diego. You can use American Airlines miles to book those, which I've done before. And I find that a lot of people just don't think about San Diego as a connection spot, right? People think LAX, they think Seattle, they think San Francisco, but nobody types in San Diego. So check out the San Diego Japan Airlines flight. Cyclona says, I had heard that if you're lost and don't speak the language, you can ask for help by saying English, and they'll at least try to help you. They'll at least try to help you even if you don't speak English. The Japanese, I'm going to call it like hospitality, and this actually brings us into number 10. The reason you should go to Japan is for the Japanese service, but that ties into Japanese hospitality, is they actually really want to help tourists that are lost. They want people who are visiting Japan to have a great experience. And so, you know, if you can only say train station or limited words, I will find people go out of our way. We were lost in Kyoto once, and we were so lost from the train station. This was in the time before Google Maps and cell phones, and we had no idea where we were. And we knew the word eki for a train station, and we went up to this lady and we kind of had some maps, and we said like eki, and she walked us to the train station 20 minutes the other direction from where she was going just to get us there, and then she went back the way she was going. Like it took 40 minutes out of her day walking this and that, but we were truly thankful for it. I have a zillion of those kinds of stories. That's just one example. But in addition to just kind of that hospitality, is also customer service. Shopping in Japan, or checking into a hotel, or anything where an employee of some place is serving on you as a customer, just feels amazing because they really value customer service and they really value the interaction with customers. And it's just one of those where, like, looking back at my own country where I live here in the USA, I'm like, I think we used to have customer service back in the day, but somehow that's all went the way of the dodo, and they definitely still have it there in Japan. Garrett asks if there's anything in Japan that I would not eat. I have yet to eat fugu, which is the poisonous pufferfish. I just not high on my list of eating like potentially deadly foods, but that's about the only thing that I'm like, no. And I also don't really like natto, which is like their fermented soybeans. Not that I won't try it. Like if you're like, hey Chris, try some of this, you might like this natto better, I'm like, okay. No. Sahil asks, why are Japan Airlines so much better than other carriers? I just think for this reason that they actually spend time saying, how do we make the onboard experience as good for our customers as possible? And on airlines, on US-based carriers, you will hear them say the phrase, the flight attendants are primarily here for your safety. We are not here as flight attendants to make you comfortable. But on the Japanese airlines, that's their perspective, to be like, you are here as the flight attendants to make the most comfortable experience for the passengers on board this flight. So it's just a different view of life. Trent says, if I have any onsen suggestions in Tokyo or Osaka. Trent, the thing about the big cities is there's not like super great onsens in the big cities themselves. Like you kind of have to like get out from the big cities to find the onsens. But like in between Tokyo and Osaka, I'm just going to do this to say, like, if you ask both, chances are you're going to both. You're going to be taking the bullet train by Mount Fuji. There's this region called Hakone, Hakona. Stop in Hakone. Check out one of the onsens there. There's a lot of great ones, but that's the best spot on the typical tourist route. You don't have to get too far out into the hinterland. Derek says he has tried fugu and it was actually delicious. If you look it up, it's pretty safe to eat at a restaurant. Well, Derek, thank you for that data point. Maybe I'll consider it. Maybe. And Brandon says he would not eat raw chicken. All right, thank you for that data point, Brandon. And Living the Vacation Life says, I've also heard Japan is very safe for families, so much that it's not unusual to see 5-year-olds ride the metro solo. Completely accurate. At like going to school time, you will see these little tiny kids walking with their backpacks all by themselves going to school. It is so cute, I think is the word. All right. The 11th reason you should go to Japan are for the Japanese convenience stores. 7-Eleven is a classic American convenience store chain. You might think. It's actually owned by a Japanese company, 7&I Holdings. And the Japanese 7-Elevens are so much better than the American 7-Elevens. I mean, the American 7-Elevens, you go and there's hot dogs that have been rolling around on these rollers for days and months, and they're like growing eyeballs out of the hot dogs. And to like the Japanese convenience stores, they get fresh food delivered all throughout the day, so many drinks, hot drinks, cold drinks. The stores are clean. The people who work there actually look like they want to check you out and help you instead of like giving you the eye to be like, do I have to go up to that cash register right now? I'm not really sure. But like you will find a Japanese convenience store in the big cities on nearly every block. And where you don't find the Japanese convenience store, number 12, you'll find vending machines. You'll find vending machines everywhere in Japan, and their vending machines are fantastic because they serve hot drinks and they serve cold drinks, and you can get noodles and ice cream and a whole bunch of things, curry and soup and bananas, and it's just like the most interesting assortment of things you can get from Japanese vending machines. And so just walking around the country and looking into vending machines to be like, wow, that's amazing that they sell that from a vending machine. And Phil says, yes, even the vending machines have good food. They do, for sure. All right. And Phil says no fugu for him because he is not going to eat any food that will possibly kill him. I don't really blame you, Phil. All right. The 13th reason to go to Japan are the airports. We had a discussion about why Japanese airlines are so great, but Japanese airports are great too. If you're flying into Tokyo, there's two major airports. There's Narita and there's Haneda. And when you're leaving, like when you're going back to the airport, plan to get there a couple hours early and spend some time exploring the airports. Both Haneda and Narita have these really amazing shopping sections that are outside security. So that's a great place to get some food, go to the shops. Haneda has this like traditional Japanese temple looking bridges. They have a recreation of some classic Japanese architecture, kind of like the shops look like a Japanese festival experience. They're just really neat. If you're going to Sapporo, I really like the airport in Sapporo too. You can bring back live crab and live lobster. Obviously, you can't bring that back to maybe your home country, but if you're flying within Japan, you sure can. I don't know what you'll do with that when you get back to your hotel room, but it's just so interesting to be in an airport and see them selling live shellfish. My chorizo sausage says, I heard the robot restaurant closed. I really wanted to go. I'm sure it's closed right now. I'm going to keep my fingers crossed that it reopens because the robot restaurant was like a super amazing place, but it was all tourists who went there. So, I mean, it makes sense that they wouldn't be open without any individual tourists going there. And Boston Elevators says it's odd how they can make hot and cold in vending machines together, but they sure can. And the vending machines that have hot and cold drinks, some might be like canned or bottled, but other ones actually dispense like a cup and then we'll fill it with soda and ice, or a cup and then some hot coffee. I mean, and they'll all do that in the same vending machine. So their vending machines are amazing. Sahil points out, I should have mentioned this in my food section, that the puddings in Japanese convenience stores are amazing. And yes, while Sahil says he has a sushi budget every day, we typically have a pudding budget every day. I kid you not, every day that we are in Japan, we get pudding. A grown 40-year man gets pudding every day because it's delicious. Some of the best pudding you'll ever have is in Japan. All right, the 14th reason to go to Japan is for Tokyo Disneyland. We talked about this a little bit, but yes, Tokyo Disneyland and Disney Sea. There are two Disney theme parks, both of them in Tokyo, both right next to each other, technically outside of Tokyo, but you know, it's all the Tokyo metropolitan area. Tokyo Disneyland, which is modeled on the original Disneyland, though a lot bigger, a lot more room. And then Tokyo Disney Sea, which is a theme park that was originally going to be built by Disney in California in Long Beach by the Queen Mary, but was never built. And instead, Tokyo picked it up and built Tokyo Disney Sea. So there's actually a replica of the Queen Mary, which is like the Titanic, like a big old cruise ship there. And I think they're the best of the Disney theme parks. I mean, I think they're cooler than the original Disneyland. I think they're cooler than Disney World. They're cheaper for sure. Their stuffed animals are so much cuter. The rides, I think, are better. For tall people riding their Space Mountain, the seats were a little small because they weren't designed for as big people. But if you can get over that, then it's pretty neat. One of the things I think is cool, too, at the Tokyo Disney theme parks, they actually encourage people to, come in costume. And so you'll see a lot of people come in, matching costumes because cosplay is big in Japan, where, if you wear, attire that slightly resembles a Disney character in the U.S., they'll kick you out of the parks or tell you you need to go change. Sahil points out Sapporo Airport has a hot spring in it. It sure does. Thanks for pointing that out. Kathy says Disneyland and Disney Sea are on my list. And then Phil says Disney Sea is awesome. Duffy is big there. Duffy is the Disney bear. If you've never heard of Duffy the Disney bear, then search Yellow Productions Duffy, because I got a whole video about this Disney bear that Disney tried to launch as a character in California and failed. Nobody bought it, but then they launched it at Tokyo Disney Sea, and the people just went wild for it. So I mean, it's wild to see this stuffed animal everywhere in Japan, across those theme parks, and that's where it originates from. Speaking of animals, the 15th reason you should visit Japan are for the snow monkeys. There are these monkeys that live in the snow, but they take baths in the hot springs. They've learned that the way they stay warm in the winter is that they sit in the hot springs, because Japan has so many of these natural hot springs, and snow comes on their head, but they're taking a bath, and you can go hike up to see these snow monkeys. The closest place to Tokyo is the Nagano Snow Monkey Park. That's where they had the Winter Olympics that one year. You can do it as a day trip from Tokyo, and I think that's pretty cool and worth it. You do have to hike about 45 minutes from where the bus drops you off to get up there, but super cool. Where else in the world can you see monkeys that are taking a bath in a hot spring in the snow? The 16th reason you should visit Japan are for the deer in the city of Nara. Nara is one of the former capitals of Japan, and they've got about 1,000 deer in the city that they consider sacred. And so these deer just roam around the city center, and they're so tame. They'll come up to you, they'll eat from your hand. There's vendors that sell these deer biscuits, and it's just sort of really cool to be in a city. It's a city with cars driving around and all that stuff, except instead of signs that say maybe duck crossing or deer, well, they do say deer crossing, right? They've got big things, and they don't just hop across, they just kind of wander across the street very slowly. The 17th reason to visit Japan are for the temples. There are a lot of really neat old historic temples in Japan. Kyoto is definitely the most famous city for visiting the temples, but my recommendation, if you want to get off the beaten path, is Kanazawa. It is on the other side of the mountain range from Tokyo, so Tokyo is kind of on the what is it, like east, kind of like southeast coast of Japan, and then Kanazawa is on the northwest coast of Japan, across the mountains from Nagano, but people often refer to Kanazawa as Little Kyoto. So if you want to see a lot of classic temples, classic Japanese streets, and you're not going right now when there's nobody, but you're like planning a trip next summer when the crush is going to be on, then consider Kanazawa. With your JR pass, you can take the bullet train all the way from Tokyo Station to Kanazawa. And then there's some really neat hot springs around the Izu Peninsula near Kanazawa. The 18th reason to visit Japan is for the hiking. There are some really good hikes across Japan. Certainly, there's the classic Mount Fuji hike, which I should point out we have not done yet, but it's on my list of things to do eventually. But they just very well maintain and manicure and take care of their hiking paths. They're well signed, they're well mapped, and they just have a lot of like, you know, if like you need to take a bridge, or they need to build a raised boardwalk to get you someplace, or you need to take a cable car to ride it, there's a lot of these just really interesting, I'll say, like hiking amenities that they create to make it so that you can see the stuff that you might not ordinarily have been able to. The 19th reason you should visit Japan is for the anime, the Japanese animation. Japanese animation is popular around the world, but what's kind of cool about it in Japan is it's everywhere. It's like animation, cartoon characters are part of daily life in Japan. So much so that little stuffed animals, you know, you will see 50-year-old Japanese businessmen with a little stuffed animal on like a keychain strapped to their bag because they like that character and they carry it around, and it's not weird for a 50-year-old man to be carrying a cute Japanese cartoon around. Now, clearly you all don't think it's that weird to carry around a stuffed panda when you travel, or at least I hope you don't, or you do and you keep watching, and it doesn't really matter to me because I'm going to keep traveling with my little stuffed panda, specifically with the Spunky Princess because she likes all of her stuffed animals. By the way, if you are enjoying this video, whether the live stream or the archive, show me some love. Please give it a thumbs up. 149 of you on the live stream, 76 likes. I'd love to see if we could get that up to 100 likes. I think that would be super phenomenal. And the 20th reason you should visit Japan is I just put out a new Tokyo travel guide when we were in Japan in February of 2020, and like COVID was just starting. We were there like a week before the country closed. I shot a whole bunch of things to know about Tokyo tips. And I waited to post it until Japan reopened again. And so the day after Japan announced it opened to individual travelers, there we go. As you can find it now, Yellow Productions Tokyo Travel Guide. On the archive, I'll put a link in the description or the pinned comment for easy clicking. Fellow explorers, it is now Q&A time. If you've got a question, I've got an answer. All right, fellow explorers, you got a question about Japan? You asked one before, I didn't answer it. Ask it again, put a question mark at the end of it. And as usual, I'll be giving away a t-shirt today. But today, instead of a Yellow Productions t-shirt, I'll be giving away a Spunky Princess t-shirt. That's right. And if you haven't found it yet, the formerly known as Traveling Princess has a new channel called the Spunky Princess that you can find if you just go ahead and type that into the search bar. It's for kids, so if you've got grandkids, you got kids of your own, you might enjoy watching the Spunky Princess pop bubbles or visit the LA Natural History Museum or just run around and have fun in all the other places that she is going to. Sam asked if the fortune cookies are more accurate there. I am sure the fortune cookies are more accurate there. Phil asked if I went to the Sailor Moon restaurant. I have not yet been to the Sailor Moon restaurant. I'll have to add that to my list. Cyclona says, is Japan as overly politically correct as America? Since I don't get super into politics, I super don't really know the answer to that. Candace asks if you can see deer in Nara in December. Year-round, you can see the deer in Nara. So, Sahil says, I cannot physically see any more pagodas in my life. I am pagoded out. That's a great phrase. I'm pagodas out. Phil says he loves the Funky Princess. All right, that's a good name, too. Shan says, would you still recommend the Tokyo Station? Absolutely. One of the few hotels ever to get a 5-star, 5 Topher rating here. So I would recommend the Tokyo Station wholeheartedly. particularly great if you get the JR pass and you use the Shinkansen a lot. Like, you don't get any closer to the bullet trains. Garrett says, I'm driving to Vegas in a few weeks. Driving to Vegas to Anaheim in a few weeks. The bottle structures, anything else. The 7 Magic Mountains outside of Vegas, I think is cool. And also the Calico Ghost Town. So Points Traveler says, after October 11th, fully vaccinated or unvaccinated with a negative test result can enter Japan. All right, thanks for clarifying that, Points Traveler. Cat Yellow Ranger says, if you went to any festivals, what's your favorite? I've been to a lot of festivals, but probably my favorite, I don't even remember the name of it, but it was in Kyushu, the southern island of Japan, and at this temple, they build these huge log things, and then they set them on fire. It's in my Kyushu travel guide. If you search for like Yellow Productions Kyushu vlog, you'll find it. I shot a whole video on it, but YouTube decides that because everything's burning, it's inappropriate for YouTube. But the one in the vlog where I show just a little bit of the fire shows up just fine. Jesus says, both my wife are a little bit on the heavier side. Should we treat Tokyo Disney Resort like Universal Studios Hollywood in fitting in the rides? Probably, I think, Jesus. I think you'll fit in most of the rides, but some of the original rides I think are just built a little smaller, right? I had an issue with Space Mountain, but that's the only one. I'm like 6 foot tall, 200 pounds. So I didn't find them to be too tremendously tiny. Phil says, you planning an Okinawa visit? I would definitely like to go to Okinawa. I think that'd be awesome. Sam says, how hard is it to get north to snow from the airport? Thanks, Chris. So two answers to this. I mean, it depends where north you want to go. So in central Tokyo near Japan, you can go to Nagano, which has snow. In that case, you fly into Haneda, which would probably be the closest one, or you can fly into Narita. Either way, there's trains from those two airports to Tokyo Station, and then from Tokyo Station, you take a train, another bullet train, an hour and a half to get to Nagano. You likely, if you're coming from not Asia, you're on a long flight, so you'll probably want to overnight in Tokyo and then take the train the next day, or go to Sapporo to the north, and then you'll find trains and then maybe a bus after you take the train to get to the ski resorts. But I think I would just, like, if you're like how hard, I would say easy as how hard. James asked if we've ever stayed in the onsen while the snow monkeys were staying warm. No, we've not been able to bathe with the snow monkeys in the same onsen, but we have been in the onsen when it's snowing, which is really the best time to be in the onsen, to be just like a snow monkey. Points Traveler says, can you sneeze a snow monkey year-round? The snow monkeys are, in fact, there year-round, but let's be honest, the best time to see the snow monkeys is when there's snow. They're just cooler. Like, it's cooler just with that whole picture of the snow. But yeah, they're in the same spot all the time. Boston Elevators asked, how's the Marriott Tokyo? There's a lot of Marriotts in Tokyo, so I like the Courtyard by Tokyo Station. I find a lot of the other Marriotts just aren't worth the price. They have like a really high price for the value that you get out of them, and a lot of them aren't in the best locations. Matt asked, is it difficult to get from Tokyo to Osaka? At Tokyo Station, you board a Shinkansen bullet train that in like 3.5 hours takes you to Osaka. You just get out the door on the other side. So I'm going to say pretty easy to get from Tokyo to Osaka, assuming you can get yourself to Tokyo Station. Rebecca says, restaurants seem small. Is it difficult to get a table? Do they take reservations? High-end restaurants take reservations. Most restaurants don't. So yes, it can be difficult in smaller restaurants where you like have to wait. But my recommendation is to particularly if you're in Tokyo or Osaka, these busy places with small restaurants, eat at off hours, eat when dinner starts at 5, eat when lunch opens at 11. Those are things we like to do to make sure we can actually get in the places that we want to eat. Phil asks if those $150 melons are worth it. Yes, the $150 melons are worth it. If you watch my Japan Food Expo video, I ate one of those melons on camera, and it was one of those $150 melons. It was super delicious. I mean, I don't think I'd buy them on the regular. 'Cause I don't don't roll with that much money. Like that's just not what I have. But as a like singular experience, it's pretty cool. It's like I mean, I guess it's better if you can find a place that serves them sliced or something like that, so you can just get a portion of it instead of the whole thing. Because it's like, what are you gonna do? Is it with the whole melon? You got a knife to slice it and this and that? I mean, that's just hard. Have I ever watched a sumo match? Yes, we have watched a sumo match. It was super amazing. I think it's definitely like a thing to do is to see Japanese sumo. Where do we see it? Not in Japan. Actually, the sumo tour made a stop in Los Angeles 10 years ago, like the one time within 20 years that they've done a stop in the U.S. And we went to see it because that is how we roll. You know, we're like, sumo's coming to town. Let's go. Gil says, which castle do you recommend? We're looking to go to Himeji Castle in March of 2023. I think that's a good one. I mean, most of the Japanese castles kind of look the same. So like you see one, you see them all a little bit. So I think that one's certainly a good one to see. I have not yet been to Okinawa, but Bobo asks if I've ever been to Julian, California. I sure have. I love the apple pie in Julian. David says, when are you doing more Vegas stuff? Well, you know, I always put out a what's new in Vegas for the next year. So sometime between now and January, you will get some what's new in Vegas in 2023. Boston Elevator says, in Japan, don't they have switches on the sign next to the door for do not disturb and room cleaning instead of sign? Yes, most hotels will have some digital buttons in the room that you can push do not disturb, room cleaning, that sort of stuff, which I think is pretty neat. NT says what you should do, and I agree with this, is to go strawberry picking, 3,000 yen for all you can eat strawberries in 30 minutes. Great tip. The strawberries from those all you can eat strawberries are like super delicious, and they are also worth the $30, though I guess it's now like $20. Oh, and by the way, if you liked this video, to get it up to 100 likes, thank you. I see we have 103 likes now. Chris says, does Tokyo Disney celebrate Halloween? I'm going to say I think so. I feel like I've been there on Halloween, and I feel like it was decorated for Halloween. In Japan, they definitely do celebrate Halloween as a commercial holiday because they love like commercial celebrations and things like that. Phil says the Hiroshima Castle is the only white castle, so they're not all the same. Yeah, okay. Thank you, Phil. You're right. But the interesting part to see in the castles, like many of the castles are reconstructed because they were bombed or destroyed, are often like the palace part, which is not the castle part, because the castle part in Japanese castles are much more fortresses, and not really like where the royalty would live. Like they'd live in the palaces down below. So in some of them, they've rebuilt like that palace area. But yeah, like I feel like the quintessential castle to see in Japan is in Osaka. It's a huge castle, like a couple different sets of moats. And so that's one I'd put on your list too if you're going to Osaka. Kenny says, any plans to go back to Japan? We hope to go back for cherry blossoms next year. All right. Yes, and there's a lot of love for Japanese washlets toilets. I love them too. Gil says, Chris, I just watched your Vancouver videos. It was helpful for a past trip this August. Awesome. I'm happy to hear that, Gil. All right.
Yes, it's the time you've been waiting for. It's time for the giveaway.
All right, fellow explorers, today we're giving away a Spunky Princess t-shirt to a lucky listener who can answer my question correctly. And my question is, there's two great places to see Japanese temples. Kyoto is the classic one, but I recommended another city. What city did I recommend earlier to go see classic Japanese temples that isn't Kyoto? If you can answer that first, I will send you a Spunky Princess shirt anywhere in the world that you may be. And while you are getting those answers in, we'll take a couple more questions. Christian says, any recommendations for Nagasaki? We did like one night in Nagasaki, and there's like a neat like observatory on the top where you can get like a neat view, and then there's also this bridge that it's called like the Glasses Bridge, where you can get like in the water it looks like a reflection of glasses, and then there's a neat like Danish trading outpost or something like that, because it was Nagasaki was originally like a Danish trading town. So there you go. Those are my 3 recommendations for Nagasaki. All right. I see a lot of answers coming in. I see a lot of people said Osaka, but that is not the answer.
And now we have a winner chicken dinner.
Okay, we have a few people who gave the right answer, but this is going to go to the person who spelled it correctly, which is NT with Kanazawa, Japan. That's right, that's my recommendations to visit temples. So congratulations, NT. You will win a Spunky Princess t-shirt. Send me an email. You'll find a link in the description to my email address, chris@yellow-productions.com. And I will get that shirt headed right up to you. Now, if you're wondering, hey, Chris, when is the next live stream? Not going to be next week, maybe the week after. But if you want to know really when it is, head over to update.yellow-productions.com, sign up for the Yellow Productions email list, and you'll get notified every time I'm going to do a live stream a few days before, so you know what time it is, the topic, and what time you should tune in. Well, as always, fellow explorers, I've really enjoyed hanging out with y'all today, and I won't say goodbye because I'm going to see you in the next video, which is my Tokyo Tips Things to Know video. If you haven't seen it, go check that one out. All right. Peace.